Hello everybody, Camo Crusader for Christ here, reporting live on the worldwide YouTube channel for Living This Year Without Fear. Hey, this is day 41, and what a day it is. I just got back from the grade school, and I had about 35-40 kids who came there to get ice cream because of the box tops. That's a thing that my wife does over there with them, and it was very exciting, and all the kids had fun getting their ice cream and picking it out. And I was thinking, have you ever wanted to be just in complete control of everything in your life? Not have to report to anyone, not have to check in to do things, just be able to direct my own steps and do what I want. Well, most of the time I think we would like that, but you know, God says that it's not within man to direct his own steps. So God has given us an instruction book full of directives from His Word on how we are to live. I call them little nuggets of truth that direct our steps and light up our path. There are times, though, that I really want to do what I want to do, and when I do that, I end up blocking out anything that might distract me from doing what I want to do. So, as an illustration of this, I'm going to use Balaam and not myself of some things that I've done. But I want to talk about Balaam. You know, a couple days ago we said that Balaam won a spiritual victory. He got tempted, he listened to God, took the time, he came back and said he followed God's directive. He said, I'm not going to go back with you, and I'm not going to be able to curse the children of Israel. And we said then that was a great job, but don't get the big head over it. Don't get too excited, because sin continues to come back at you. Temptations come around harder and harder each time. So now, today, let's look back at Numbers chapter 22. Let's get down around verse 15. You know, Balak, the king of Moab, didn't take no for an answer. He sent higher dignitaries and an open checkbook to Balaam and said, hey, come over here and curse the children of Israel. I'll not only give you money, but I'll give you honor and power. So, what should Balaam do? Balaam should have just said, no, I've already told you. I got the direction from the Word of God that I am supposed to not go, and I'm not supposed to curse him. But that's not what he did he? It says in our text that what he did was says, hang on, I'm going to go back and check, and you know what? Maybe God's changed his mind. That's the way you and I are sometimes. We think, you know, maybe God will change his mind. Maybe now it's okay for me to go ahead and do this. Well, the answer is still really no from that, but we try to push the envelope. And then we see that he goes again and asks God. And in verse 20, it says that God came to Balaam at night, and after their discussion, he says, if the men came to call thee, rise up and go with them, but you're still not going to be able to curse the people. Wait a minute. Looks like God did change his mind, huh? Well, it says that Balaam saddled up his donkey and he went a-riding. And he started heading for Moab, and when he did, 3 different times the angel of the Lord tried to meet him and was going to draw out his sword after him, and that donkey tried to sidestep, and finally he just fell down. He wasn't going to go nowhere. The donkey was trying to save Balaam from some kind of trouble and turmoil to keep him out of the angel's wrath. And then it says down in verse 22 that the anger of the Lord was kindled against Balaam. What's going on here? Didn't it just say that he said, go if you must, but don't curse the people? Now you're saying that the anger of the Lord was kindled and he sent this angel of the Lord to deal with him? What we see here, and to be able to understand what's going on, is that there's 3 wills of God moving right here. If you look at the board, there's the directive will of God, there is a permissive will of God, and then there is an overriding will of God. You say, hey, Camo Crusader, what's that mean? Well, it goes like this. back there in verse 12, God gave directive will to him. He gave direction to Balaam, and he said, don't go, don't curse. Thou shalt not do that, it says. Thou shalt not go with the people. Thou shalt not curse the children of Israel. That is the directive will of God. It was like the 10 Commandments, or like the commandments we have today. But here's the thing. When they came back with an open checkbook and honor and all of this stuff, Balaam was tempted so bad that in his heart he wanted to go. And God is a gentleman. You know, when I do not follow the directive will of God, God doesn't duct tape me to the couch and say, hey, you're not going nowhere. If he did, it'd have to be camo duct tape, you know, but that's another point. But anyway, he won't duct tape me to the couch and say, you're not going because I told you already. No. God has a permissive will. We are agents of freedom of choice. We have our own volition. We can read the directive will of God, but if we decide not to follow that directive will, we go out on our own permission and override his will, then he allows us to do that, and it will make him angry. He will come after us, so to speak, just like the angel of the Lord came after Balaam. Now, when God also told him, he said, if you go, but you're still not going to be able to curse the people. Now, that's the overriding will of God. Now, there are some things of our choice and of our doing that God's going to allow us to go ahead and be held accountable for. But when it involves his plan, like the children of Israel down there crossing over into the promised land, you're not going to disrupt the plan of God. He's going to override that and overstep that, okay? So there you see what was happening in the story. It was the 3 wills of God. So let's apply that to our life. We have the directive will of God, how we are supposed to live, how our walk of life is supposed to be. Hopefully we're being led by the Spirit. But if we decide that we no longer want to do that, that we want to do what I want to do and I want to do it now, then God allows us, gives us permission to do what we wanted, but we're going to be held accountable for it. There's going to be trouble. There's going to be pain. There's going to be things that happen that we're not going to want to happen. So it's best that we did what Balaam did the first time. Take time out, go listen to the will of God, and then follow that word and stay in that and stay within the directive will of God and not get outside of that, because if you do, he might be coming to hunt you down and to do a little bit of discipline on us to try to get us to step back into the right path that we're supposed to take. And that, my friends, would help us to live this year without fear by staying in the directive will of God. Yeah, this is the Camo Crusader for Christ, and we're signing off of day 41 of living this year without fear. May God bless.